He's Rick Tyler.
And he's Dan Cashman.
And I'm Peter Geaghan of Geaghan's Pub and Brewing. And I'm on the Ric and Dan Show.
In Maine, we often hear,
"You can't get there from here."
These are the stories of the risk takers,
The trailblazers.
those who turn obstacles into opportunities
every day and found their way.
to get there from here.
And today,
There on the Ric and Dan Show.
when we're done talking with you, do you think we can schedule an intervention for Larry? Because he must do no work. He must just sit and make memes on his phone all day long.
Which is true. I don't want to discourage him. I tease and say, it's good to see he's finally found something he does well.
Back in your old space, my dad was going into the gym and Larry was pulling up, I guess, or coming out. And there was a newspaper on the ground, just trash. So Dad picked it up and Larry goes, "Hey, Jack, what'd you get, a paper route?"
Nice. Nice.
But what do you call the space today? Because in 1975, when John and Arlene?
Yes.
When John and Arlene bought it, it had a name.
John Geaghan's Roundhouse Restaurant and Lounge.
And lounge.
And lounge.
You don't hear much about the lounge
No.
these days.
No.
And now today it is.
Geaghan's Pub, Geaghan's Pub and Brewery.
I think most people just say Geaghan's.
Geaghan's, yeah. I mean, it's it's kind of where you're from. I still get people say Penobscot Inn. Everyone's
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Just throwing it way back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those are the people that still call it Welby Superdrug.
Yeah. Right. These Laverdiers.
And when you're in the restaurant, the pub, the Roundhouse, Geaghan's, there's the mural on the wall, the painting there, and there's the father figure holding the hand. Who are those two characters?
It could be the artist that did it. It was a family friend, Larry Loggy, and he kind of took pictures of different grandchildren. And it's not specifically any one, but it would be Larry's kids' age, but there's 4 or 5 of them that age. So, yeah, it would be Tom and Andy-ish.
The restaurant opened in 1975, correct?
It did.
So you're 50 years this year.
It is.
Does it feel like 50 years?
You add it up and it is, but they put a Facebook thing where they just were quickly going through pictures, and I said, that's what it feels like. It just flew. It flies. And it's all I've ever done. I've never worked anywhere else in my life. And people say, God, I love it. It's the same. Geaghan's is always the same. And I think it's changed so much in 50 years.
So the name has changed.
The name is
the physical footprint, maybe it's changed a little bit.
tremendously, really.
How has the culture changed?
Well, I went back when it was the lounge. Yeah. I remember the argument with my father. He said, we want to put food in the bar part. People do not eat food in a bar. Because they would have their drink in the lounge, and then they would go into the dining room and eat dinner. And we just saw the change. It needed to change. And we pushed it, obviously, on that. But it's just changed in so many ways. I mean, the restaurant, with the expectations of the customer are very different than they were 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. People were much more forgiving 50 years ago. Now I don't know how somebody opens a restaurant now.
Geaghan's is an institution in Bangor at this point. People love the beer. People love the restaurant. They love it all. They love the experience. They love how they feel when they go in. But I'm going to back it up a little bit before 1975. Larry, your brother, had shared a story on social media every year around the first of the year about the Baldacci family and the Geaghan family. And I think that's just such an important beginning to your story for the restaurant. Do you mind sharing that?
Sure. And that's a Bangor story. I mean, my dad worked out at the airport for many years, and it was a RAN flight was a corporation. And he'd had a heart attack at 50-ish, and they fired him. That was it. They fired him. So...
and back then, there was not much you could do about it.
No, I mean, you go find another job.
You got fired for having a heart attack.
Well, as I know. I mean, who knows what else? But the
timing was terrible.
The timing was terrible, and Dad knew Bob and my dad were very good friends, known each other for many years, and that was about the transition time when Mama Baldacci's opened up. And Dad, Bob called him up, said, come help me out. I know you know the business. And Dad started was there day one with them and helped them develop that. And really, I think it was just out of his good nature. And, Bob Baldacci, just a wonderful man, and saw a friend that needed helped him out and got him back on his feet. And then he moved on, and that was probably 73, 74.
Where was the Mama Baldacci's location then? Because it's hopped around.
Yeah, it was on Broadway. Oh, just off Broadway. What was it? I can't remember the name of the street. Funny, where
Alden Street.
Alden Street.
Yeah.
But before that, wasn't it?
It was where $10 Spa and Pool is now.
That's what I thought.
Well, that was Baldacci's.
Yeah.
And
then
they closed
Mama
that.
Baldacci's.
Mama Baldacci's was the second.
And then there
coming.
should now be like second cousin twice removed
Right.
Baldacci's. Had the trend continue.
Right.
So there was a level of cooperation, not competition.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And there's still that's what I grew up in. I grew up with the Bill Zoidises and the Sonny Millers and Steve Seguinos, and you needed something. You call them up, they help you out. They talk you through some things, or And we continue that. There was that new place under the bridge, and I can't remember the name of it. That it was Carolina's. It's something else now,
right?
But
Legends originally, and Carolina's, right?
Yeah. And I've done this many times when they get close to opening, I'll pop in and just, hey, Peter Geaghan, we're in this together. You need anything, give me a call. Sunday, your CO2 runs out on Sunday. Give me a shout. My guys know, that they'll just give it to you. We'll figure it out later on, type of thing.
So my dad tells me that type of a story all the time. My grandfather, Jack Cashman Sr., had Jack's Snack Shop in Old Town. Sure. And that's how it was. If you ran out of clams, you went to the Shuffle Inn and said, I'm out of clams. Can you lend me some clams? Sure. And it feels like that has been lost a little bit, but it sounds like you're still...
Yeah, I mean, I certainly promote it, and I don't think it's been lost in the independents. The corporate restaurants and businesses aren't... I don't knock on their door. They don't want me to come in, but... we help each other out as much as we can. Same thing, and it's the same thing in the brewing world. And I think it's that independence, brotherhood, whatever you want to call it, helping each other out, community.
You mean you're not calling Budweiser and saying, can you send me some hops or anything?
No, but OBC and our local guys, we all help each other out.
See, I wondered if it was the legacy restaurants that still have that level of cooperation and not competition, and maybe the newer ones, because it's a different world, don't have that.
And that's why I go. I open the door. Say, look, we're all in this together here. We want you to do well. If you need anything, let me help you. I'm more than happy to help out, and that's we promote that.
One of the things we like to talk about in this podcast is the challenges that people overcome, because sometimes people just don't see it. They know they like going to Geaghan's. They know they like the food. They like seeing you. They like the staff. My dad's a great example of that. He's there every Friday, and he wouldn't miss it. He has bailed on a funeral before, I think, to make sure he's at Geaghan's.
God, I hope he doesn't to die for.
But that's the type of a challenge, though, that I don't think people see. They don't know what it's like. They just know they like coming to Geaghan's and having the wings. But God forbid, what happens if you run out of wings? I can't imagine you ever have.
It's a panic center. It's a panic center, yeah.
But those types of struggles, do you enjoy the... I don't want to call it the fight, but the challenge of overcoming those obstacles when they present themselves?
Enjoy wouldn't be the word I would use, but it's my job to make sure we're successful today. And that means having the right product, having the right people, having the right attitude, setting it up, pre-shift meetings, we do all that stuff. And it's almost a knee jerk. If there's a problem, I got to deal with. There's no. Everybody not necessarily looks to me, but I have nobody to look to. The problem is here. Let's do our best to figure this problem out together. This is what I'm going to do. This is how we're going to do it. Well, that worked, or that didn't work, or whatever. I mean, that's beside the point a lot of times. But I want to make sure we're successful today, and I'll do whatever I have to do.
Blood's thicker than water. So when those challenging times arrive, has it been made easier by the fact that you've got kin to your left and kin to your right?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. One of the things we started doing just after Dad died, we sat down as the families the members that were involved. At that time, it was Chris, Carolyn, Larry, myself, and we would have a weekly meeting. And in that meeting, you could say whatever you needed to say. That's the place to say it. Get it out of the way. But there weren't that many difficult discussions. Most of the time we're on the same page, especially when it whittled down to Larry and I and Andy especially, we really think very much alike. Now, I think the contrarian thoughts that Pat brought into it and Chris brought into it especially helped us, made us think, made us question, made us dive in a little deeper kind of thing. But it's certainly... I love working with my family. It isn't always easy, but I certainly love it.
But you can't get away from them, though.
No, I don't necessarily want to.
Really?
No. I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate.
I don't know if everyone would agree with that. I don't know if everyone would be able to say that I work with family and I don't want to get away from them.
It's interesting when we do a family thing, Christmas, 4th of July, whatever. The business is a different, it goes away. We're just family then. We're able to separate the business part of our family from our family. They're two different things.
What do you attribute that to? Is it the Irish in you?
I grew up in a family of 11, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were 11 kids and
you had no choice but to get along.
you know what I mean?
Right.
You get 4 or 5 kids in a bedroom, you figure it out. You punch them and you cry and then say,
that's what we thought those meetings would be like.
We didn't have a choice somewhat, and we learned to work together.
Who was the person that said, "All right, you guys get along"? Was it John or Arlene or both?
My mother was certainly the peacemaker in all that stuff. Dad would call you out more. And he was less patient with our learning process, if you will. My mother had all the patience, and so. But even as they were less involved, my dad passed away in 83. So I mean, here I'm 23 years old. Larry's 27, 28 years old. Yeah. Chris was 28, 29, 30 maybe. We had no idea what we were doing, so we had to, and I think at that point, Larry kept us kind of focused on a straight line. He called himself the conductor. He kept us moving forward.
Well, it was a roundhouse, so there were trains around.
Yeah, he's clever like that.
Yes.
Well, that's a question I was going to bring up, the moving forward piece of it. If you're not moving forward, then you're staying still, and staying still can be almost getting behind the game. Geaghan's has not done that. No. Geaghan's has moved forward. How difficult has that decision been every step of the way, whether it be expanding the footprint or adding the craft brewery or moving the craft brewery back across the river? How much of those decisions stress points and struggle points for you as an owner?
Every one of them is at different levels. They all are. But in some ways, we've had a vision. And I think when you have a vision, it's easier to stay focused on where you're going. But, there's nothing easy about those decisions. But I felt like we were making the right decisions at the right times. We had to change course at different times. We ended up in Brewer, that wasn't our vision by any means. We ended up there, and then the vision was to be back in Bangor, so we got back in Bangor. Now, would different business people do it different? Maybe, but getting rid of breakfast.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you did, I missed those bear claws.
I know.
Gee, right?
I get it every week. I can't walk through Hannaford without somebody. Are you really not going to do breakfast?
Do you consider that a mistake?
No.
Why not?
A combination of, there's never any one thing, but staffing had become, and I can't imagine trying to staff it now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's really not that much money in breakfast, in all honesty. There's a muffin. There were a lot of people that had muffin and coffee. That's all they had. And the focus, that was just after the brewery. The energy, you only have so much energy and time, and we needed to focus more on the brewing end. The breakfast was not growing. Mm-hmm. the brewery was growing. And at that time, and it's even accelerated more now, you can get a breakfast sandwich and a cup of coffee without getting out of your car.
Yeah.
And that stopped. I mean, there was a day when businessmen would come in the morning, have a business meeting, and that's gone. I mean, that was leaving at the time. And I can't imagine, again, just the staffing mess of it now. Try to get somebody up at 4 in the morning.
Because you have a brand. You've built it over the years. You've nurtured it. The people that you have working for you, I don't know if when they walk through the door, they all fit the brand. Do you have to go find the people you want, or do the people come to you because your brand is a magnet?
I mean, both things happen, but what you either are part of it or you're not, and it's fairly evident early on if you're a team player, if you get it or not. I've had some of our best people aren't technically great at what they do, but this, customer loves it. Your dad comes in and wants this person to wait on him, and that's the person you want. And in the kitchen, it's the same. There are more. I've had people who are chefs that come in, and it just didn't work.
For those that couldn't see that, he used the air quotes when he said chefs.
But I've had people that that love being there. Mm-hmm. I can teach you how to do anything if you love what you're doing, and so those are the people we're looking for. And not everybody works out, obviously. I mean, we don't have the kind of turnover some places have. I know. We've got people who've worked with 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, all over the place, and that's unheard of. And I think those people set the example. And then as people come in, it's like, oh, okay, this is how we do it here. Mm-hmm. And you either meld into that or you fight it. And if you fight it, you don't make it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a piece of it, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but there's a piece of it where you lead by example, and every time I'm there, I see you, and you're never just sitting around and chatting with people. You're working your tail off. You're zooming around there like you're on a hoverboard. Yep. Do you think that plays into it with the quality of the staff that you have?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my nature first off, but I set a pace. Where you had to take care of these people and pay attention. I'm moving around, but I'm looking at, if there's a napkin on the floor or a customer pokes their head out looking for the wait person, or, somebody's struggling with a customer, or whatever the situation. But you can't stand in one spot and see that. I have to move around.
By the way, the one spot you don't stand in is before the sign that says, if you stand here, you will get no beer, on the side of the bar where the staff comes up. You've come over to me and said, can you move along, please? More than once.
Just behind that, I've got a little, I call it my perch, where you'll know when I'm done, because I've got a little corner that I stand in. I've got a half a beer and I'm finish my day, and they know Pete's going to leave in a minute.
Do you dread or do you delight in St. Patrick's Day?
Ooh, a little bit of both. I mean, there's so much. The amount of memories I have I get misty when I think about St. Patrick's Day a lot. Just the amount of wonderful people that passed through there, and that was their biggest. They couldn't wait to be there, and just to look at them, and family members and customers, and it just takes me back to so many wonderful, wonderful memories. It's not as wild as it used to be. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it got wild. I mean, I dreaded that, that last hour and a half. and we used to be open till 1 o'clock in the morning, what I mean? So now it's over at 10, 11 o'clock. But people have become a little more controlled, I think, than they were, as far as the more conscious of alcohol levels and things. That's not the problem it used to be. It used to be a bigger problem. But so it's mostly delight. The bagpiper comes in, I get chills right up my spine, and I just love it.
Because nothing says happy Irish Day than having a Scottish.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right.
That's been a question.
Yeah. We Irish, we just take people in. Yeah. We have a big umbrella.
They offered, we accepted.
It's as big as the kilt that the guy's wearing.
Exactly.
He does that.
So talking about the craft brewery, I remember talking with you and Larry at one point about it, and Larry had made a comment that he didn't believe it would be a big seller. He thought that they would have like literally a pot of craft brewing, craft beer under the bar. And whenever somebody came in once in a while that wanted it, they'd take a little ladle and fill up a little glass. He had no idea. Did you see the future being what it is with craft beer and the Geaghan's brand?
Yes and no. I didn't see, I wasn't thinking about in cans in stores type of thing. I saw it more as a marketing / profitable item for us to bring into the pub. I thought it was we knew as we were aging, Larry and I, especially, and Pat, it became, how are we going to finish this thing? How does this wrap up? How do we end it? And that's when I think Andy was hearing that conversation at home, and Andy said, wait a minute. He was off doing other things, wonderful things, talented, smart guy. And he said, I don't want this to end. So he became back involved. And then all of a sudden the conversation turned into, how can we grow this? What would be a growth thing? We didn't want another one. We had no desire for that. But and Andy brought the brewing conversation in, and to me it was a no-brainer. I just saw it as a great opportunity for us to jump, and early on, especially that period, it was like being in a car with Andy and Larry with 2 feet on the brakes, Andy with 2 feet on the gas, and I'm trying to steer. It was just no. Well, it wasn't a fight. It was more of Larry wanted to understand it better. He didn't quite understand what we saw, what really Andy saw, and I certainly saw it as we talked. That was another one of those, we're changing who we are, but we didn't want to change Geaghan's. The booth had to be the same. The people had to be the same. It was an addition to. It wasn't necessarily a different place. When you came in, it felt exactly the same. But now we have a brewery on the side.
Speaking of being in a car, I can count, top of my head, 4 videos that we produced at Sutherland Weston for various events. And you and your brothers have been stars. And I'm not using the air quotes when I say stars. One of them was
Willing Fools, I think.
Yeah, one of them was for the Cross Insurance Center Gala, in which we were driving around picking up people to come to the show. Dan, you were in that and picked up, and all your brothers. Everyone was in the car. Everyone was singing. Yeah. There was a video for one of the Bangor Region Chamber of Commerce Business Awards, where it was a tribute to the places that made beer, and 4 of you were there. Andy was doing the vocals, and you guys were in the back looking like the Temptations with your moves and everything.
Very talented.
One of the earliest ones was when Hollywood Casino Hotel and Raceway was Business of the Year, and you and your brothers got the last word. And the word was something akin to, boys, we got a casino, we got the Cross Center, we got the concerts. We're finally on the right side of town.
Yeah. Yep.
Tell me about the being finally on the right side of town.
Yeah, I tell people it took us 35 years to find a good location. We were, just before it became wonderful, it was really bad. I mean,
most things are.
Oh, it was it was dark. There was nothing. The Holiday Inn. It's kind of on it.
You got the red carpet in with hourly rates right over there.
And the Bangor Auditorium was basketball tournaments and the Shrine Circus, and that was about it. Yeah. The hotel that we were in, they had a tarp on the roof. It was not a pretty time for us. It was a very, very difficult time.
How'd you get through?
I just worked. You just go to work. You go to work. You manage what you get. That's one of the things we say. We want it all. Certainly, you're not going to get it all. Manage what you get. And when times are tight, you manage that. You manage it in a different way than when times are full. It's a different style, not style of management, but you make different decisions. We whittled it down to, very, very long days on our part, and work through it. You just work through it.
Do you ever go out to eat at other places?
I do.
I'm not going to ask you what your favorites are, because I feel like that would be unfair, but I feel like this comes up on social media all the time. The places you miss, restaurants you miss that are no longer in Bangor. What are some of yours that you miss?
Yeah. I mean, I Pilot's Grill to me was Bill Zoidis was the man. He was like God. I mean, he
Oak Room.
Yes, and he that was probably he's my favorite restaurant guy, and I just love that place. The memories of that place. But I
got to say though, their cheese versus your cheese. I side with the Geaghan's cheese. I'm sorry.
There's a bag of it right out there.
Is there really?
Oh, yeah, I brought it.
Once again, we did not launch a podcast in order to enjoy free product from people. However, I got to challenge you on something. Okay, Geaghan's has pub cheese. Okay. All right, Pilot's Grill long gone, but they're still making cheese.
Sure.
So you've got to be careful who you give the edge to.
Yeah.
I'm just telling my opinion.
Just being honest.
Yeah, I mean, it is hands down my clear favorite. And I'm not a big cheese guy. But there's something about your pub cheese I cannot resist. It is delicious.
Thank you.
Ever talk about opening a second Geaghan's location?
I don't. A lot of customers do, but I don't. People say, "Oh, you got to have one in Florida. Yeah. You should have one in."
Oh, I was thinking somewhere else in the state of Maine, or even across.
Too much work. I don't know how people do it. It's just too much work. One of the reasons we do well, and we have our difficulties, is the fact that we're there all the time, and I can't be in two places. Now, if I had, say, Andy wanted to live in Presque Isle, fine.
I hear there's a Presque Isle blonde.
Yeah, there is a Presque Isle blonde.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Something like that. It would have to be. We've been approached many times by different developers, or Danny Lafayette has different hotels with restaurants in them, and just no desire. I have no desire to. I've got more. One is more than enough. For me, most of the time. I can't imagine having enough.
If Dan and I decided that, okay, we're going to buy the Geaghan's franchise because you guys are done, and now we're looking like Montgomery Burns from The Simpsons going, excellent, Dan, and now we will put Geaghan's all over well, one in Dover Foxcroft, one in Presque Isle, one in Machias. Would you want to see that?
I mean, if once I'm out, it's fine. I wanted to... and Andy and Larry and I have had these conversations where, if I'll be, Larry's out-ish, he still does book work for us and stuff. But if I were to, or when I leave, if somebody offered Andy $1 bazillion to go for it, buddy, go for it. Absolutely.
Have at it.
It's a business. I think things have a life. Businesses have a life. And this has been a wonderful one, and I hope it has 50 more in it.
But my father, again, going back to my father and the business acumen he has, he would say to me that people came into my grandfather's restaurant, and later he owned the bowling alley in Old Town. They would come in to see him and my grandmother. And I feel like that's probably similar. I mean, yes, the food is good, the atmosphere is good, the staff's good, but I think people come in to see you too. And I think you're right where you lose that if you expand to 20 locations.
Disagree. Yes, absolutely. But I think more people come in to see my staff than they like it that I'm there. Yeah. They're reassured when I'm there. They feel like it's going to go better, I guess, when I'm there, maybe. But I don't feel like people come in to see me particularly. Well, I think it's important that it feels like the family-owned business. It feels like we're there, whether we're there or not. It feels like if there were an issue, they could contact us and we would respond and things like that. I'm going to challenge that a little bit. Like Pat Farnsworth at Pat's Pizza, it was always great to see him standing behind the counter making pizzas. Did I ever engage in conversation with him? No, but I knew who he was. And I think there's a reason why the Pats in Orono was always more successful than the franchises. And I feel like seeing the face of the operation means a lot to people when they come in. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, that's where a franchise would be different.
Tough question.
Sure.
What's it been like since losing Pat?
Ugh. Yuck. No fun. It's when you work with somebody every day and it's your brother, there's something missing every day. Very difficult. Very difficult.
Do you feel that? Or do you just move on with that?
You move on. You don't pretend that it isn't there. We face it. I'm close to his daughter. You know, we're close. So the family. That's where there's a weird family business
dynamic.
Yeah. You can't even describe it really. But you know, Pat was he was the Geaghan you didn't see most of the time. He was in the kitchen, and we've had to adjust there certainly. But you know, it's a tough one. It's not. I'm reminded every day he's not here.
And does that motivate you?
I mean, the people that have gone, I mean, in our family that were part of the business, I try to make them proud, even though they're not here. And certainly that's part, you know, I think of Pat, you know, what would Pat do? Or you know, Pat was that fixer. He knew where every light switch and breaker and, you know, hose and everything was, you know, and when I fix something on my own, it's like, thanks, you know, there you go, Pat, how'd I do? You know, I did all right, didn't I? I did that without you.
That's fantastic.
What's next?
Oh, what's next? I mean, we just go to work and keep it going. You know, there's no plan for another something. I mean, it's right now in this world. It's just keep it going. It's not easy. It's not easy. You know, it's a difficult climate in a lot of different ways, and you know, change what we need to change, tweak what we need to tweak. You know, try to stay affordable. It's difficult. You know, try to do what we have to do to keep good employees, and it's things like, you know, making sure we have health insurance and vision care and dental care and 401ks, and that all gets more expensive. You know, everything, it's not easy. It's not easy, but it isn't for anybody. It's not just restaurants, it's not just Geaghan.
Yep.
And you know, we'll figure it out. I know that.
You made it through COVID.
Yeah.
Because we could swing into the parking lot and Larry would pass us our bag of wings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember my oldest would always get a grilled cheese, and when I'd see Peter, he'd say, "Oh, it's grilled cheese night."
Yeah. And they graduated to hamburgers at some point.
They did.
I remember the changeover.
Yeah.
You have changes too.
And that's what you get with a family-owned restaurant like this. Another family member, my Aunt Polly and Uncle John in Salem, Massachusetts, had Bertini's restaurant their last name was Bertini's. It was fourth generation when my cousin had it. And it always felt like a home away from home. Yep. And Geaghan's to me also feels like a home away from home, even though it's basically in my backyard. Yep. I don't know what you do to maintain that feeling, but when I walk in, it is like a warm blanket to me.
Thank you.
And it's just, I want to thank you for all of it. And I know you're not doing it for me. I like to think you are, but I know you're not. But I really it is a very special place for this community.
Thank you. And I go back to it. I'm very fortunate. We are very fortunate. I mean, this is a wonderful community. There's two things that you can't survive without two things. One is a community that supports you, and we have a community that supports us. And the other is a staff that buys in and is part of, you know, takes ownership in what we do. And I've got a wonderful staff. I'm very, very fortunate, wonderful staff, great staff.
Thanks for listening to the Ric and Dan Show.
This pub cheese is delicious.
If you like what you heard, don't suppose you'd click that subscribe button.
And maybe leave us a review on your favorite listening platform.
5 stars are our favorites.
And next time you hear someone say,
"You can't get there from here,"
you tell them to listen to the Ric and Dan Show.